first saying. I know we all hold Reverend Margaret, Steve, and Reverend Barb in our hearts this week and our consciousness as they make their way to the wonderful conference that I know will be spectacular as it is every year, and that we'll be enriched by when they return with their stories about it. And I'd like to thank everyone here for your presence today, and Reverend Margaret as well for this opportunity to speak. So, let's begin. I have a good friend. I have a good friend. He was at the Joyful Gathering Beach Day in August, and he had an inspirational card with him that he shared with Reverend Barb and myself. That card went, I knew what I wanted to speak about already, but I hadn't yet written the talk. And that card went directly to the heart of what I wanted to say. So I'm going to read that to you now. The card was titled, Expect the Best, and this is what it said. Change your expectations for yourself. Expect the best. Expect divine guidance. Expect your fortunes to change. Expect miracles. When you were in spirit, prior to materializing, your aim was high and your expectations were godlike. Reacquaint yourself with that vision. If you've been coming to Joyful Gathering for any period of time, you're familiar with the concept of thoughts or things and what this implies. As represented by our beautiful stained glass logo, that thought, our first cause, planted in the creative medium, the law, and that this produces a thing or the manifestation in our lives, and that the thought that becomes the thing can result in either a flower or a weed in the garden of our lives, depending on what it's originating from. We begin today by looking at this as the relationship between our expectations and what shows up in our lives. I want to share a story that prompted me to write about this topic. This was an experience I had while walking on the beach this summer. The memory is vivid, because what I experienced resonated deeply within me. It wasn't anything monumental, it was really very ordinary, but the message I received was clear and powerful. I remember exactly where I was on the beach. It was a clear and comfortable, beautiful day. The sun was shining brightly, and there were a lot of people, especially families, enjoying the beach. There was a little boy, an adorable little blonde boy, who I guess would have been about 1.5 years or 2 years old. He had the most open and joy-filled smile you could imagine. He was radiating happiness and appeared to be totally carefree and unencumbered by any thoughts other than, wow, this day is for me. I felt his energy and connected with it through the smiles we exchanged. And in the moments that followed, I realized how completely taken I was by the experience. I felt that what I witnessed was that prior to manifesting soul, from the quote I began with today, the one that is not just accepting of all that is, but welcoming it all, fully trusting, and living life not just joyfully, but full out. I watched him motor up a slight incline on his equally adorable chubby little legs, and he was completely immersed in the moment while looking all around when he tripped and fell. He face planted lightly in the sand and stood up with sand all over his lower lip. But he remained unchanged, as if the fall hadn't happened at all. He hadn't looked back to check in with Dad or his siblings, who were playmates who were behind him for reassurance. And in that smile, neither his joy nor his joyous expectation had changed. He waved at the lifeguards who were now in front of him as if to say, "Hi, how you doing? I'm having a blast." And what I saw in that moment was a child who expected the best, a day of absolute enjoyment, fun, and discovery, no matter what. I'm reminded of a story that Reverend Dr. Margaret has sometimes related about a young boy who visited his infant sibling in the sibling's crib. The story about the young boy who stood looking down at his sibling who said, "Remind me what it's like where we came from. I'm beginning to forget. The messages of these stories are examples of the self with a capital S that is within all of us, the true self, the essence of who and whose we are, the one we begin to lose touch with when we come into physical form, the one from the quote I began with that says, expect the best, prior to materializing our aim most high. The one I want us to reconnect with today. Though we are never separate from this divine essence that is who we are, as we grow up, we're subjected to the expectations of our parents, teachers, institutions, societal norms, and so forth, and we begin to accumulate the baggage that is part and parcel to being in physical form. Gosh darn it, though, don't we carry that baggage everywhere with us, allowing it to weigh us down, losing sight of our innocence, our perfection and wholeness? What was this little boy on the beach focused on? What was he expecting? Are you with me? So Ernest Holmes says, expectancy speeds progress, and live in a continual state of expectancy. And I'd like to take you to take in these statements. These are all quotes of Holmes that I've arranged in an order that suits my purposes today, and they're wonderful. It's a little long, but bear with me. Life is not just something to be endured, it is to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. Move forward. Think only about your dream and never think about what you do not want. Never limit your view of life by any past experience. Too often our minds are so burdened because of the mistakes we have made that we do not take the time to forgive ourselves and others and start over again. Drop all negative thoughts from the mind. Do not dwell on adversity, but think plenty into everything, for there is power in the word. Meditate on the things you are doing as already done, perfect and complete. We are all immersed in the atmosphere of our own thinking. This decides what shall take place in our lives. Stop trying, stop struggling, begin to be calm. To trust in the higher laws of life, even though you do not see them, they are still there. Life is a mirror that will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. The abundance you desire to experience must first be an experience in your mind. To experience and accept abundance in our life, we must be convinced that as we conceive, we believe. The abundance you desire to experience must first be an experience in your mind. The universe handles all the details. Let us waste no further time looking for the secret of success or the key to happiness. Already the door is open, and whosoever will may enter. Well, let's pause here for a moment. We do understand that we're immersed in the atmosphere of our own thinking as new thought thinkers. We are equally aware that our thoughts are influenced by many things. Among them are expectations. An expectation is an act of looking forward to a future event with some reason to believe that it will happen. When it comes to expectation, the outcome can go either way, good or not so good. A great deal of the result is up to us. If our thinking is based in fear, we can redirect our thoughts. As Holmes says, drop all negative thoughts from the mind. Do not dwell on adversity, but think plenty into everything. So how in touch are you with your expectations and how these expectations may be affecting your experience? Are you a cup half full or a cup half empty person? Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans for good." And we talk about God's good and the good in all things, a joyful gathering all the time. So we are well aware of this principle, but whether or not we experience that good is largely our responsibility. Are we aware of our thinking and intentionally directing it? And what part are our expectations playing in that? Our beloved friend and gifted practitioner, Dana Smith, told a story at a recent practitioner meeting that she's graciously allowing me to share today. I might not have it exactly right, but the point is clear, I think. She had wanted to travel to Egypt, but when this desire was first percolating in her mind, she was uncertain as to how she could make that happen, perhaps even a little doubtful. When she was discussing this with her mom said, "Dana, I want you to put a bra and a pair of panties into a suitcase. Put that suitcase in the corner of a room and let it go." Dana did just that, and guess what? The money and everything she needed came through. She had set the intention, the expectation was there, and she made it happen. Spirit made it happen. Some people don't tithe because they expect that if they do, they will run out of money. And some people do tithe, expecting a different outcome, because they understand the law and how it works, principle of cause and effect, the law of reciprocity, the law of circulation. Our every expectation has a foundation, either one that is based in fear or one that is based upon faith. And some people love easily, but others refuse to love because they've been hurt. And the fear of being hurt again drives them. As with all things that we may want to examine, change, or heal, awareness is the key. I invite you to think about these questions. What are you struggling with today? What is out of order? What is missing? How would you characterize your general outlook on life? What are your expectations for yourself as you think about your present and your future? About health, work, money, relationships, leisure, fun, happiness. And what are you carrying with you into any given situation? Is it moving you in the direction of higher good or holding you back? Think about two situations in your life, and I'll give you a moment to bring these to mind. First, one that had a positive outcome, and then one that had a negative outcome. And now ask yourself, what were your expectations in both of those situations? And was the outcome something that served you or not? And looking at this through another lens, now take a few moments to bring to mind a situation or condition in your life, past or present, that you wish were different. First, how did you or how are you approaching the situation? Was or is your outlook based on hope and faith, or doubt, fear, or despair? What were you or what are you anticipating and expecting? Are you seeing yourself as having or not having? And second, think about the childlike innocence of the little boy on the beach. And these words from the inspirational card: expect the best, expect miracles when you were in spirit, prior to materializing your aim was high. Reacquaint yourself with that vision. How do these words resonate with you now? Are you growing flowers or weeds in your garden? As quantum physics tells us, everything in the universe is connected, and intention can influence outcome in profound ways. Our thoughts, and I say hence our expectations, are active forces. They are the energy that shape our bodies, minds, and the healing process. I want to share a personal story that many of you already know, but today I'm going to tell it through the lens of expectation. How our thoughts shape our outcomes, and how being open to infinite possibilities can allow miracles to unfold. Over 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and RSD. Now, when you hear a diagnosis like that, there's a whole set of expectations that come with it. Wheelchairs, disability, decline. But Spirit guided me immediately to shift my language and my thinking. I never said I have. Instead, I always said I was diagnosed with MS and or RSD. And that simple change meant I did not identify myself with the disease. It was not who I was. The diagnosis had only as much power as I gave it. And that was the beginning of directing my attention, my expectation, my faith toward healing instead of decline. Science of mind teaches us about the mental equivalent. We don't get what we merely wish for, we get what we expect. And I'm going to say that again because I think that's really powerful. We don't get what we merely wish for, we get what we expect. My expectation was simple. One step at a time, one day at a time. I didn't expect a miracle, nor was I even thinking about I didn't expect a wheelchair, nor was I even thinking about some grand miracle. I simply expected to keep moving forward. And this was the picture I held. And here's the thing. The law of mind is neutral. It doesn't decide whether MS means limitation or healing. It simply responds to the seeds we plant. So with Spirit's help, I chose to plant seeds of trust. And what unfolded was a path of healing. Looking back now, it was smooth, and the right people and practices appeared just when I needed them. That's what it means to live with the attitude of expectancy. I didn't know exactly how it would turn out. I didn't even know that's what I was doing at the time, but I expected that life was for me, not against me. I expected that Spirit would guide me, and Spirit did, leading me to Ayurveda, which restored my body, and to science of mind, which restored my spirit. Today I stand here healthy, grateful, and whole, and the greatest miracle is not just that my body healed, but that my understanding transformed. And it was through this understanding, actually, that my body healed. I came to understand the greater purpose behind these diagnoses. And throughout the winding path, a journey that led me over a period of years, Spirit guided the right people into my life, who, among other things, introduced me to meditation. That practice became the doorway to a profound discovery. The connection between the survival patterns and limiting beliefs I had absorbed as a child in a dysfunctional home, and the way those patterns had manifested physically in my body as MS and RSD. The thoughts that became the things were the physical symptoms of my thinking, perfectly mirrored in my body. Long before I even encountered the science of mind teachings, change your thinking, change your life, Spirit was already planting this idea within me. This awareness allowed me to forgive, to soften, and to reconnect with that young, innocent child within, like the child on the beach, still untouched by fear. The one who knew truth before it was unlearned. Spirit speaks to each of us through our life experiences, and for me, this was pure grace. The gratitude I now feel did not come from me searching for it, it found me. And that too, I know, is the loving activity of Spirit moving through my life. What words do we think and speak out loud and to ourselves? And how do they reflect the beliefs that then become the things and experiences of our lives, like the manifestation of disease, the disease of MS in my body? The body-mind has its own intelligence. I call it the knowing body-mind, the essence of who we are, the true self, the I am, the I am that we talk about. And when given the right tools to heal, and we let go of the how, it will do just that. Healing always takes place at the level of all three, the mind, the body, and the spirit. I'd like you to go back to the exercise we did earlier and bring the situation or condition in your life, past or present, that you wish had been different to mind again for a moment. And now reframe your thoughts and your expectations in terms of these 4 questions. I share them. They're Reverend Dr. Ginny's questions that she uses when she's teaching havening. They can be used in many, many situations. What if I can handle this situation with ease? What if I trust that everything is in divine order? What if I'm safe in this moment? What if I'm stronger than I realize? 1 Corinthians 4:18, do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are unseen. No matter what your present condition looks like, believe this, it's subject to change. Before closing, I'd like to read a quote that Martha Creek posted on Facebook recently. I don't know whose words these are, but I do love them. Finding yourself is not really how it works. You aren't a $10 bill in last winter's coat pocket. You are also not lost. Your true self is right there, buried under cultural conditioning, other people's opinions, and inaccurate conclusions you drew as a child and adult that became your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself is actually about returning to yourself, and unlearning and evacuation are remembering who you were before the world got its hands on you. Let's close today with a renewed sense of self, the one alluded to in the last part of the quote I started with today, by reacquainting ourselves with a vision of godlike aims and expectations for ourselves. As Reverend Dr. Margaret said last week, by expanding and enlarging our capacity to know who and whose we are. We are radiant beings of love and light, just like the little boy on the beach for whom this was not even a conscious thought or question. The truth is that you came into physical form knowing the fundamental truth of who you are. And if nothing else, the point that I'd like you to leave with today. Let us all cultivate our relationship with the innocent child within so that we may access and trust the part of us which already knows, reacquaint ourselves with the knowing body-mind with which we are inherently joined and allow it to lead us. In the simplicity of the story about the little boy on the beach lies a profound truth. It is an illustration of the embodiment of absolute trust and expectancy in divine providence, the one that calls to us as an unwavering conviction that transcends doubt or uncertainty. So change your expectations for yourself. Expect the best. Expect divine guidance. Expect your fortunes to change. Expect miracles. When you were in spirit prior to materializing, your aim was high and your expectations were godlike. Reacquaint yourself with that vision. And so it is.